Victoria Reed had spent 15 years building Sterling Global into one of New York's most powerful private investment companies at 39. She was known for being brilliant, demanding, and nearly impossible to intimidate. Her name opened doors in Manhattan boardrooms, and investors trusted her decisions without hesitation. She believed nothing could destroy what she had built. Then Monday morning arrived Victoria, stepped into her office expecting a routine executive meeting. Instead, her CFO James Miller was waiting. Beside her desk with a tablet in his hand and an expression she had never seen before. "Victoria, we have a problem." She put down her coffee. "What kind of problem? The Henderson acquisition has collapsed." Victoria frowned. "That's impossible. Financing was confirmed Friday, it was." James turned the tablet toward her. "The lenders pulled their commitments this morning." Victoria quickly scanned the report. Her expression changed. Banks were freezing credit lines. Investors were demanding their money. Several major partners had suddenly suspended negotiations. "How much exposure do we have?" James hesitated. "Enough to threaten the entire company." Victoria stared at him. "You're telling me Sterling could go bankrupt? If the lenders call the obligations immediately?" "Yes." For the first time in years, Victoria felt genuine fear. She spent the next 6 hours calling investors, bankers, attorneys, and business partners. Nobody could explain what had happened. By afternoon, employees were being sent home. The company's valuation had collapsed. Victoria stood alone in her office, looking at Manhattan through the glass windows. Her phone rang. It was Marcus. Her fiancé. She answered immediately. "Marcus, I need you." I know his voice sounded strangely distant. "I've spoken with my advisors," he said. Victoria closed her eyes. "Can you help me?" There was a long silence. Then Marcus said, "I don't think we should get married." Victoria opened her eyes. "What? I can't build a future around this kind of uncertainty." She stared at the phone. "You're leaving me because my company is in trouble. I'm trying to protect my future." He arrived 20 minutes later without saying much. Marcus removed his engagement ring and placed it on her desk. Victoria looked at it. "You promised you'd stay. I thought things would be different." She swallowed hard. "They're different because I'm losing everything." Marcus avoided her eyes. "I'm sorry." Then he walked away. Victoria sat alone in the darkened office. For the first time, she wondered whether all the people around her had loved her, or simply loved what she had built. Several hours later, the office door opened. Daniel Carter stepped inside. He was a former strategy director who had left Sterling months earlier to spend more time raising his daughter. Victoria looked up. "Daniel, if you're here to say goodbye, don't." Daniel shook his head. "I'm not." He placed a thick folder on her desk. Victoria frowned. "What is this evidence?" She opened it. Inside were transaction records, acquisition documents, and financial transfers. Daniel pointed to a series of companies. "These bought pieces of your assets before the Henderson deal collapsed." Victoria's eyes widened. Who? Daniel looked at her. "Ethan Cole." Her biggest competitor. Victoria stared at the documents. This wasn't a failure. Daniel shook his head. It was planned. She looked up. "Can we stop him?" Daniel closed the folder. "Yes." Victoria whispered. How? Daniel answered calmly. "Give me 30 days. And for the first time that terrible day, Victoria felt a small reason to hope. Daniel returned to Sterling Global before sunrise the next morning. The once busy headquarters felt almost abandoned. Desks were empty. Conference rooms were dark, and employees whispered about bankruptcy in the hallways. Daniel didn't pay attention to the rumors. He opened his laptop and began tracing the transactions. From the Henderson acquisition, Victoria watched him from across the room. "You're certain Ethan Cole did this?" Daniel nodded. "I'm certain he planned something, but we need proof." He displayed a timeline of transactions. 3 companies had purchased Sterling assets at unusually low prices just weeks before the acquisition collapsed. "They look unrelated." Victoria said, "They're not." Daniel highlighted the financial intermediary connecting all 3 companies. "Same bank, same legal firm, same investment manager." Victoria stared at the screen. Ethan. Daniel nodded. "He wanted your company weakened before buying the pieces." Victoria clenched her fists. "How do we recover them?" "First, we prove the transfers were coordinated." Daniel contacted former Sterling executives, investors, and legal advisors. One by one, he uncovered emails and transaction records that revealed Ethan's strategy. Then Daniel discovered something even bigger. A major client contract had been transferred just hours before the collapse. Victoria thought it was permanently gone. Daniel disagreed. This contract contains a protection clause. Can we use it if the transfer violated the clause? Yes. Victoria looked at him. How long? Daniel checked his notes. 2 weeks. They moved quickly. Sterling's attorneys filed emergency requests while Daniel contacted investors who had abandoned the company. At first, nobody wanted to return. Then Daniel showed them the evidence. One investor agreed to provide emergency funding. Another returned after seeing the hidden transaction records. Within 10 days, Sterling's financial position began stabilizing. Ethan reacted immediately. He contacted Victoria with an offer. Sell me the remaining company. He said you'll walk away with something. Victoria looked at Daniel. Daniel shook his head. She answered Ethan, no, you'll lose everything. Victoria smiled. I've already lost everything. Once she ended the call, Daniel continued working. On the 22nd day, a court order froze several disputed asset transfers. Ethan's plan began collapsing by the 27th day. Sterling's major contracts were returning on the 30th morning. Daniel walked into Victoria's office carrying one final folder. Victoria looked at him. Is it done? Daniel placed the folder on her desk. The Henderson contract is back. Victoria opened it. Her hands trembled. Everything we could recover. She stood and hugged him. Daniel froze for a second, then smiled. You did it, Victoria whispered. No, Daniel replied, we did that evening. Marcus appeared at Sterling's headquarters. I heard the company recovered. Victoria nodded. I want to talk. You left. I made a mistake. You did. I want another chance. Victoria looked at him calmly. You walked away when I had nothing. Marcus lowered his eyes. I was afraid, so was I. She paused. But Daniel stayed. Marcus looked toward Daniel. Victoria continued. He didn't stay because I was rich. He stayed because he believed the truth deserved a chance. Marcus had nothing to say. He left quietly later. Victoria stood beside Daniel overlooking Manhattan. I thought losing everything would destroy me. Daniel smiled. Sometimes losing everything shows you what actually matters. Victoria looked at him. And what matters now? Daniel glanced at his phone. My daughter, my work. And people who don't leave when things get difficult. Victoria smiled. For the first time, she understood that her greatest recovery wasn't financial. It was discovering who truly believed in her.